Okay, so last time we looked at what happens from a workflow standpoint inside the iteration. So now we look at what happens at the end of an iteration. So there's a lot going on here, so I'll try to keep it quick, but it may be longer than the other ones. Also, I'm going to kind of mock how to handle the deployment of React Native client, because at this point, this project that we're working on does not have a React Native client. It's there, but it's not actually set up or anything yet. So let's take a look at where we are right now. I'm on my personal branch and I finished my iteration and I want to get my code onto staging. But again, we have other developers working on this. So how do we ensure that we don't step on each other's toes? So going back over to our Gunnerfy README, it says at the end of an iteration, we're gonna run this command. So taking this command, we're just gonna run, and today's the last day of the iteration. So this is 2019 05/28. So let's do that right here. And then the target stage we want this merged to is staging. So perfect. Let me just make sure, I'm gonna pause this, make sure my credentials are all set up. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I did not have my staging credentials set up. So when I run that command again, it'll give me this pull request ID. So this is my pull request ID, and basically what I'm gonna wanna do now is I'm gonna email this to the project lead and say, hey, I finished all my tickets for the iteration. My pull request is 1, right? So if we want to actually see this in action, what the lead developer or project manager will see is they can log on to the console, or they can use this through the terminal or through the SD or the CLI to see the pull request that I have. Here's the one I just submitted, and notice that it'll have all of my changes in there. Source is Cody, and then the iteration date right there. So that's how that works. Now again, I'm going to be the lead developer on this as well. So we move right on to approving pull requests. So basically, developers can submit their pull requests. You know, if our iterations are 7 days long, so if developer A finishes all of their work on day 2, they would submit their pull request. But at the end of the iteration, when all the developers branches have been submitted, that's when that's the last time the lead developer can go in there and approve pull requests. And again, let's say developer A submits their pull request on day 2 of the iteration. There's nothing saying that the lead developer can't go in there and approve the pull request the next day or immediately. They don't have to. The lead developer doesn't have to wait till the last day of the iteration. But by the last day of the iteration, all of the pull requests have to be approved. So let's just go in and look at how we're going to approve pull requests. And I want to make sure that my credentials are up to date here as well. So let me go in here and look at this. Okay, so yep. So what we're going to do is, this should work. Famous last words. And so again, let me clear this out so it doesn't look like I'm in here. But now I'm the lead developer, and I'm going to approve that request ID was 1, and the stage that I'm approving it for is staging. Okay, so there is our output. It says our pull request was accepted. Pull request status closed. If we go back to console here, this should be closed. Yep, so it's all merged, and we're good to go. So it's really that simple. Now, the lead developer would repeat that for all pull requests. Then now here's how we actually tag the iteration for completion. So again, this is the lead developer or the project manager, whoever's the team lead. So we're basically going to run this Gunnerfy get tag, and we're going to stage is staging again, and then the iteration is again 2019 05/28, I believe. Yeah, 28. So that should create a, let's see. Oh, it does not. So we have some, oh, we have some local changes here that we didn't commit. Let me see here. Get branch. I may have, let's see. This was, I forgot to commit my changes. That's why we're getting this. So let's go get add. Work. I don't know what that is. So we're just going to run this command again, and it should work this time. Okay, so now that should have created this tag on staging, and we can go again back into our staging console here and see that, yep, we have that tag name released, and this is the release for 2009, that iteration, the May 5th or May 28th, 2019 iteration. And so that's all in there and good to go, and that's what's been deployed. And notice that the commit message is what these correspond again to the ticket numbers in our tracking system. So that's how we do. Submits the branch, reviews the branch, tags the release. Now let's look at how we deploy the branch. And I'm going to take a pause real quick so I can get some water. Okay, so now we're on the next step here in this, which is deploying the branch. And number 5, I'm doing. I won't be able to do because you're actually going to see. It might be hard for me to record because I'm recording something already, but I'll try to walk you through that as well. So the next thing is we're going to run Gunnerfy deploy backend, and oh, by the way, we want to make sure we're on the staging branch since we're deploying staging. So we're going to Gunnerfy deploy backend, which is going to take a while, so I'm going to pause. This takes about 6 minutes, maybe less. Okay, so that all finished. I want to point out one thing that it was actually -s staging. I had to if you don't pass the stage as the S parameter, it defaults to the default stage, which is Cody. So I deployed my own environment before I realized my mistake. So it's just -S will deploy the new, or will deploy the staging backend. You don't actually have to be per se on the, so you're on the staging branch, and then you Gunnerfy deploy backend, and then tell it what stage you want to deploy. And I'm just running this again because I just changed one small thing just so I could kick off another deployment would actually work. The next step after that, I'm going to let that run after we deploy to staging, going back to our README, is, and I should update this. I should update this README so it's more clear. Let me make a note of that so I can remember. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, so the next thing, if we want to deploy the mobile, is we're just going to run we would run this command, which is -S staging. And it's going to ask us if this is an over-the-air update. Now, I'm going to kill it here, but this is the only thing you need to understand, and everything else will walk you through it. If it's an over-the-air update, it won't rebuild the application, meaning it won't rebuild the IPA or the APK. You need to rebuild the IPA or the APK if you're making changes to the metadata about the app itself. Otherwise, you can just usually do over-the-air updates, which means you don't have to go through the Apple approval process or the Android, or updating the app in the Android in the Google Play Store. You can just hit the over-the-air update and it'll do that. I'm going to kill this because we don't have the mobile app set up yet. The last thing to deploy is, again, we're on the staging branch, and then we're just going to run Gunnerfy deploy web and then pass it dash staging. And so there we go. It says what the this is the last job, and it actually is already deployed because it deploys on git pushes. This is just confirmation that the deploy was successful. Status succeeded, and it deployed this commit ID, and that's the job ID if you need to see it. But that uses Amplify behind the scenes to actually push it out to the front end. We can see that again if we go back to our console here. If we go to the Amplify console, we can actually see the prop swap staging, which it says there we go. Which we have. Oh, let me see why that's not working real quick. Okay, so this is what I was trying to show you. There was AWS changed something, so I had to fix something real quick. But now, so this should automatically deploy, and then we should be able to see our site right here. And that's our staging site right there. So that takes care of that. Let's see if I think that was the last thing, but let me check here, see if there's anything else. Oh, that's it. Then we just go through some training material. So that pretty much covers it. I'm going to be updating uploading a new version of this, but let's see. There was one other thing I was going to add. Oh yeah, the last thing we're going to be working on, which we have to have a project that has this, so it may take some time, is the integration with RDS and serverless Aurora. So that's the last thing we have to tackle, which I don't know when that video will be coming, but it will be coming as soon as we actually add RDS to one of our projects.